There you go. I had the mic muted. How's it going, everybody? I'm Ian. Streaming earlier than I normally would on Thursday. I've got a work event later tonight. We had like a really big production launch today, and they're doing like a big company thing later this evening. So I thought I would jump in and take a bit of a break from work this afternoon and do a little airbrushing since I'm going to be doing like 2 or 3 hours of work stuff tonight. So I thought I would kind of kick back and do a little airbrushing. So been working on a lot of helmets and stuff lately, a lot of really, really big prints. If you want to go check out my Twitter, you'll see this enormous set of dragon wings that are printing over here right now. I'm going to try and move this camera so you can see it. They're huge, like really, really huge. So check out the Twitter feed because this is 100% scale, and the other wing is like, well, it's 220% scale. So it's this big and then some, and well, it's this big again and then a little bit more. So it's huge. It's gigantic. And it's fantastic. So it's going to be really fun to airbrush that thing. Like seriously, the wings are this big on the thing. So it's going to be fun. Also got some other stuff in for the laser engraver. Got some wooden bookmarks that I'm going to tinker with. I got some planks which are 10 centimeters by 20 centimeters. So be, 4 inches by 8 inches? So 4 by 8 signs. And then also got some 6 by 6 signs. And then, and then these things. It'd be interesting to see how well these work, if I can even laser engrave these, but they're tiny little mirrors. There's like a plastic coating on them, but I'm wondering if I can there's an adhesive on the back, so I'm trying to think of whether or how I can do a laser engraving into the mirror on these, but they might make cool coasters as well. So I'm going to play around with some of those. These were all pretty cheap online. Bought them from one of these sites. It's like, get all these things for like $1 kind of stuff, and they are like dollar quality. They're really, really cheap. They're made out of plastic. But the wood bookmarks and the other sign pieces and so on, they're pretty decent quality so far. So we'll see. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of helmets lately. So I printed a Dr. Doom, which is nice because I can actually wear it with my glasses. There's a whole back piece to it, but I haven't printed the back piece. But the quality came out pretty nice on the bamboo. So this was printed on the bamboo. I made another one in polywood, which is like a foam filament. I did that on the Trudon. It didn't come out as nice. Not for the sake of the printer. I think it was the choice of filament. It just didn't come out as nice. And then the other one that I'm printing a lot of lately that you can kind of see over here behind me is Daredevil. So this one was done in PETG, and I went through and I did the sanding on it, and it came out pretty nice. Like the quality of it came out pretty good. There are a couple of spots like along here where there was a bit of an extrusion inconsistency, we'll call it. So you can see there's like this big line going across here, and then it kind of went all the way around. So there's actually like a couple of strips in here that I'm actually gonna have to go in and fill before I do like another round of sanding. This one actually had a pattern in it. So on the show, like his helmet is red, and then it's got this black sort of fabric in there. That didn't print as nicely as I would have hoped. So I'm printing another one right now on the bamboo in red that will not have that fabric. And worst case scenario, I can like paint a fabric on there, or I can like cut a little bit of fabric or something. Hey, Thindle, good to see you. These are some of the other ones I made. So I did this one on the bamboo at 95% scale, and it's too small for my head, but it would probably fit one of my kids. This was version 1 of the helmet. This is version 2. So version 1 of the helmet, this was the first design that the company came out with, or that the designer came out with. And it's nice, but it's enormous. Like, it's way too big, even for my head. like way too big. Like resting on here, can't even see my eyes. So I would have to put like probably a good 1/2 inch of padding on the top of this thing just to be able to see out of it. But the quality of it came out pretty nice. Now I printed this one upside down, so the quality of the face came out pretty good. I've got a little bit of cleanup to do around the eyes, but obviously the top is like really janky. But I printed it upside down to see what the inside would be like. And in retrospect, I'm like, no, I'm going to keep printing them like right side up so that the outside has less sanding, because there's going to be a lot of sanding and finishing to do on here to finish this up. So yeah, so I'll probably like sell this for cheap or like give it away or something. Anyway, so that was version 1. This is version 2 of the cowl. The bamboo didn't do a great job on the side of it. You see that big sort of chunk hanging off here. It was just really, really inconsistent with how it was extruding. You got this like really big, ugly scar around the ear over here that didn't happen on this side. Actually, it did happen on that side. Happened on both sides. And I think part of that was just the speed of the bamboo. So the one I'm printing now, I'm printing at 50% speed, which is going to take like 3 days to do. It's got about a day and a half left on it. And it's going to come out really nice quality. But I wanted to paint one in the yellow from She-Hulk. And then, so that's what this one's ultimately going to be. But like I said, it's not going to fit me. I can't even get this over my head. It's too narrow to fit over my head. But I'm printing the red one. And then once these are done and once this dragon is done, I'm going back to finish a Mandalorian helmet and a Bo-Katan helmet for Gbav, who drops by stream from time to time. He does a lot of gaming stuff here on Twitch. So that's what I've been up to. Just testing out helmets and profiles and stuff like that. Just trying to use up some filament too, because I got like filament all over the place. So some of it's just to use up some filament and then give me some stuff that I can actually practice painting on. So this was the first attempt at Dr. Doom. This was actually in Polymaker's Cause PLA, which is supposed to be very sandable. But then I had a problem with the extruder, and I had a really bad layer shift. Well, it started with one layer shift, very minor layer shift right here, and then it like layer shifted really badly. And I'm not sure why that happened, so I just never got around to restarting that print. But this was the first failed attempt, and also trying to figure out like where do I need to put supports underneath it, because it was printing flat like this, and trying to figure out where do I need supports and things like that. So lots of good learning going on. Yeah, today I wanted to get into what I wanted to do is finish the base of our smog dragon, because I got to get this shipped up to Canada for my family member. And so I've got some really coarse sand that I want to spray paint gold to look like gold nuggets, and I want to like put it around the feet of the dragon and then put it in with clear resin, like glue it down with clear resin instead of using glue. And then use a UV light. And so today we're just going to basically airbrush some gravel and practice like putting it on here with some clear resin, UV curing that resin so it'll hold it in place. And then we should be good to go. I found out something really interesting about UV resin. And so what I did is I poured some clear resin in a little cup. You can kind of see it's still pourable because there's no UV light down here at all. It smells a little bit. And I thought, well, I'll put a little bit in a cup and I'll hit it with the UV light. And I'm holding the bottom of the cup while I'm hitting it with the UV light. And it started burning my fingers. And I'm like, what the heck? And turns out resin gives off a lot of heat when it's curing. And it started melting through the cup onto my finger. I mean, the little UV flashlight I have works fantastic. But yeah, I couldn't remember if it was exothermic or endothermic. One of them like gives off heat and one absorbs heat. But yeah, whichever one means it gives off heat, resin gives off a lot of heat when it's curing. So lesson learned, don't hold on to the thing while I'm curing the resin. But I also need to be careful that I don't put too much resin on there, because I don't want to melt the plastic that's already on there. Even though it's made of resin, I don't want to melt it. I don't want to bubble the glue or anything like that. Endo takes heat, exo gives it off. Makes sense. Exo being external, I guess. So yeah, so I'm going to switch over to the wireless mic. You will hear a little bit more of the background noise of the printers that are running, but we'll get this going. Should be fine if you use less strong light. Okay, good to know. Got like one of these little UV flashlight things, and it's only got one strength. It's on or it's off. So I'm not going to hit it for very long because it doesn't seem like it takes very long for that resin to cure. And then yeah, we'll see how it goes. So, all right, we've got the Pokemon thing running in chat as well, so feel free to get in on that if you want to. I'm gonna pull it up myself here. Twitch chat. I do want to catch me some Pokemon while we go here, so we can do a Pokecat or Poke check. See if I even have that one yet. And I do not, so I will do a Poke catch. Trying to sound like he knows what he's talking about. Yeah, I don't know anything about Pokemon. Shine it on a wall or something that reflects UV, or from further away. Yeah, I could do it from further away. But because I'm going to be getting the nuggets down in under the legs and stuff like that, I'm going to have to get the flashlight kind of pointed in there. So I'm not going to be putting like a ton of resin on there. Like I'm not going to be dumping tons of resin on there and then putting the nuggets in. I want to like dip each nugget in just a little spot of resin and put it on and cure it so it'll hold just that one nugget. I'm not planning on like spraying a whole bunch of nuggets, putting them all down and then pouring a bunch of resin on it. So I do have tweezers that I'm going to use, and I'm just going to like put the nuggets down like one by one. So I'm not looking to do like hundreds of nuggets either. So I'm trying to figure out like how I want to kind of go about that. Nobody caught it, really? I did a Poke catch. Nobody caught it. It's how I do endothermic stuff that needs heat to cure. Okay. Start setting from a distance slowly and then blast it to cure all the way through. I see. You can start the cure from a range. You can go in for the finish close by. Okay, good to know. Thanks, Lindell. I will definitely do that. Just use the heat gun from a distance and go closer. Yeah, well, I'm not using a heat gun. I'm using like the curable resin, not the heat-based resin. So, but yeah, cool. So I'm gonna switch cameras. I'm gonna switch over to the lavalier mic. But like I said, you're gonna hear the printers and stuff going because I got the bamboo printing and I got the Trudon printing right now. So you hear some background noise, but aside from that, shouldn't be too much other noise until my son's banjo lesson starts in like an hour and a half. So cool. Well, let's get things switched over here. All right, there we go. Cool. Let me know if that mic is too loud. I can turn the mic down a little bit if you need to. You haven't ever used UV resin. Okay. Yeah, no worries. Not a problem. So, like I said, I've got this really coarse sand that I want to use. And I'm not going to do a ton of it. But I do kind of want to hit a little bit in here. I need to move that resin out of the way because it's kind of smelly. I've also got, the keychains and stuff like that. Go check out cool3dthings.com. I may also blast the some keychains with a little bit of color today and try an engraving on those and see how they turn out. Might do some colored keychains on the site. And if we have enough people drop by, I might do a dragon giveaway. I've got a whole bunch of those Imperial dragons sort of pre-printed and ready to go. So I would be happy to give a dragon away if we get enough people. And if we get more than 50 people showing up, I still have that Ahsoka Tano lightsaber set to give away. But we need 50 people in chat for that to happen. So not very likely it's going to happen today, but you never know. You never know. What was I doing? Mixing some gold color for the rocks. There was something else I was going to prep. Now I can't remember what. I was going to do something else. Can't remember what else I was going to do. All right, so we got the tweezers. I am going to need the base, like once these things get spray painted. Otherwise, I think I'm good to go. Let me make sure my compressor is still plugged in. Yep, it is. All right, let's get mixing some paint. So I want I want this to look like a different gold than the gold that the dragon is currently on. So I still want it to be kind of that yellow base, but I'm probably going to go in with a little more gold and probably a little bit more on the copper side of things. And I'm also not going to need a ton of paint for this. Like I'm going to spray a light coat over these little nuggets of sand and then let that dry, and we'll just kind of shift it around, and we'll keep going at that for a little bit here as we go. But we need to mix up some paint first. So I'm going to start in with a little bit of yellow, but and these are all like metallic paints, so they're all going to have like a bit of a sort of a silky kind of sheen to them. But like I said, I don't want it to be the same, quite the exact same gold that he's currently sitting on. I mean, it will be similar, but not exactly the same. Come on, paint. There we go. So I need to figure out a little bit like how I want to mix that up and how I'm going to do that. And I'm really overdoing it with the paint here. I don't need anywhere near this much paint, but I'd rather have too much than not enough. Also, this dragon is 100% scale. Let me take this little wedge out here. So this dragon is 100% scale. I've been printing these dragons a little bit bigger, and in case you haven't been paying attention to my Twitter, I've been kind of supersizing these things. So I'm just stepping away for a sec to go grab this other one. This other one I've made is 160% scale. So this red dragon head is 100% scale. This one is 160% scale. And the dragon that's printing on the Trudon right now is 220% scale, which is going to be that big. So this is 100% scale. This is 220% scale. This one is going to be flipping enormous. Like, seriously, every time I look at the printer and see how big this thing is that's printing right now, it kind of makes me giggle. I'm not going to lie. It's freaking enormous. Ash Prince, thanks for the sub. Appreciate that. 2-month sub. Appreciate the resub. Thank you so much. So all the subs and all the bits and all that all goes back into the fundraiser that I do. So appreciate the support on that. For those that aren't aware, I choose not to make any money as a streamer. And so all the fundraisers that you see going on right now, we're raising money for STEM to the Future. I pretty much constantly have some kind of fundraiser going. And that's by choice, because I want to support diversity in tech. And so any of those things, any of the bits and subs and all that kind of stuff, that all goes back into that fundraiser. So I appreciate the support. Thank you. Very, very much appreciated. So STEM to the Future is a nonprofit group here in America that is raising money to bring STEM education curriculum as well as materials like circuitries and Raspberry Pis and Arduinos, and but also just, you know, the curriculum of how do you get into like a STEM type of career, whether it's math or programming, where a lot of Black and Latino communities don't really have the same kind of access to that other neighborhoods do. And so I'm really happy to support that. So that's the fundraiser that we have going on right now. And the goal that I have on Twitch right now says $2,000. But as I explained on the stream, what I'm really hoping to do there is have the community raise $1,000, and that can be through direct donations from you directly to them, so that you get tax write-offs and things like that, and then I match the other 1,000 out of my own pocket. So all the bits and the subs, that all goes into my match. But then I usually, at the end of every quarter, this year, I'm actually going to go in and, like, you know, if you all like cheer bits and subs and whatever, and that comes out to significantly more than what the community actually raises, then I'm just going to donate all that to the community anyway, or it goes into shipping the giveaways and stuff like that. Wish you could do more. No worries at all. No worries at all. And no one should ever feel compelled to donate in my channel. It's always a voluntary thing. Donating to the charity doesn't give you any extra benefit. I'm here to help people out. On Sundays, I help people with career advice and interview preparation and resume reviews and company research and things like that. On Tuesdays, I do live coding to teach people about coding and APIs and things like that. And then Thursday is just kind of my day to do creative stuff and use the other half of my brain, which I'm really happy to do on days like today. Cool. So that's going to be kind of the gold color that we're going to kind of go for today. It'll be a little bit more of the brown side of that gold, but that's the general color that we're going to paint these little sand nuggets. So this is just super coarse sand that I got like a 2-pound bag or something off of Amazon. So yeah, so we're going to be good to go there. I'm just going to take a minute and just put a little bit of water through the airbrush here, just to make sure that's all cleaned and ready to go. And then we'll get some paint in there, and we should be good to go. And I'm just going to give this a really light coat of gold paint to start out with, and then we'll gradually ramp it up from there. Because if I blow too much air through the airbrush, these things are going to scatter all over the place. So, hey, Space Hobo, good to see you as well. You need to hang out more and learn. Absolutely. That's exactly why I love having people hang out in my stream. I'm always happy to share ideas and tips and tricks and all that kind of stuff. So, absolutely, by all means, come by and learn with all of us. I need to get an eyedropper here to drop some paint into the airbrush cup. And I'm still pretty new at airbrushing. I only just started airbrushing, like, when did I get this airbrush kit? Like March or something like that? It hasn't been very long. So yeah, so I'm excited to play around with this a little bit today. So I dropped a little bit of that in there. So the other liquids that I mixed in besides the paint, one is airbrush thinner, which thins out the paint, and the other one is what they call flow reducer, and that one just stops the paint from drying too quickly. And on an airbrush, when you push the thing down, that's what lets the air out, and when you pull it back this way, that's what lets the paint out. So it's a combination of pushing this thing down and pulling it back to get paint out. But if I put too much air in, you see the rocks kind of scatter. That's not what I want. So I need to be really careful with how much air I do, or do it from a distance to where they're not going to scatter all over the place. Like even from 6 inches away, they're starting to kind of blow away on me. So I'm going to need to be kind of careful about how close I get to these little nuggets here as we're painting them. I also want them kind of scattered out because I do want to coat them decently well. But yeah, Space Hobo, good to see you. I'm doing pretty good, actually. It's been a busy couple of weeks with family stuff and the kids getting out of school and starting summer activities and stuff like that. But yeah, it's been all right. It's been a pretty good summer so far. We've got different events and stuff coming up at work. We have a work event going on tonight, so that's why I'm streaming earlier than usual today, just to do the stream that I normally would have done on a Thursday night. So that started out pretty good. So yeah, the color is going on pretty nicely. I just need to make sure that I keep enough in that cup to keep them going. But like I was showing, I don't want to get too close because I don't want those rocks to. I don't want the rocks to move around too much. I mean, we do want them to move because we are going to need to sort of roll them over and paint the other side of them. But I just don't want them like completely rolling off the surface here while I'm trying to paint stuff like that. So that's not what we want to do. But we are going to need to kind of rotate these around. The nice thing about airbrushing is the air coming out of the airbrush will also help dry the paint. Even though we put the flow reducer in there, which typically makes the paint take a little bit longer to dry, having the air coming out of the airbrush also helps with the paint drying as well. So I'm just going to keep putting little drops of paint in here, and then we'll keep adding layers of paint on here. So all I'm doing is I'm not pushing down on it very much, but I am pulling back quite a lot more so that we get a pretty good disbursement of that paint without a ton of air coming out. Because we do want to atomize the paint. So I'm kind of aiming down in this area right here, so you can see it kind of building up on my finger. But I'm not putting very much air through here because I don't want those rocks to move around too much, because we need them to get a coat of paint before we go too far here. Hey Chewy, good to see you. Thanks for dropping by today. We're just airbrushing the little nuggets here to put underneath our dragon. And one of the things with being far away from the rocks as I'm airbrushing them is the gold paint is like atomizing kind of over a much bigger area. And so the paint that I'm putting in here, I'm only putting it in a couple of drops at a time, but I'm actually running out of that paint really quickly because it's spreading it out over a much larger area. Where normally if I was in like really small on something, I could kind of paint this little area and say, okay, that's enough paint, I'm done, and I've still got a lot of paint left in the cup. In this case, we've got to move these rocks around, and I want to be far away so they're not blowing all over the place, and so that sort of makes me run out of paint a little bit sooner. That's why I kind of went a little overboard mixing up paint, but now I'm thinking I actually made the right amount. So yeah, so we're just we're going to paint some of these, and then we're going to stick them on the base here with some clear resin. I'm debating whether to pull these darker colored sand rocks out or whether to leave them in. I might leave them in, actually. I think it'll give a nice sort of balance to the different kinds of rock and gold that a dragon might hoard. So there's another Pokemon in chat if you want to do a poke catch and try to catch him before he gets away. Get a nice spray of that paint on here, and then we can kind of come back in with a little bit of air to try to dry that paint a bit. Then, like I said, I'm just going to try to pick up the nuggets like this, dip it in some resin, and put the nuggets on here. So we'll have to let this stuff dry a tiny bit. The airbrush would normally dry the paint as it's going, but that's only if you're up really close and you're blasting a lot of air through it, which we're obviously not, because we don't want these things flying all over the place. I thought about airbrushing them in a little box or a little bowl or something like that so they couldn't fly away, but then they would end up bouncing around all over the place, and I didn't want them bouncing out and bouncing around my desk. So dragons hoard all the rocks, that's right. So I actually found some other really cool dragon models. And I reached out to the designer about potentially including them as the really large giveaway for the month of July. So we did the month-long giveaway for April, where we gave away the large version of this dragon that I painted in kind of an ice theme. And that one went to RC Maniac in New Jersey. And so now I'm on the hunt for like another large dragon type of model that I can airbrush and give away in the month of July for that month-long giveaway, just so we can continue to raise money for STEM to the Future. So I reached out to a designer of a model that I really liked, and I'm like, I would like to give away either this model or this model or this model. Can I please get written permission? Because they don't do commercial licenses. You can subscribe to their to their models or whatever. It's like $15 a month, and then they give you like a whole bunch of models every month. And I said, I'm happy to subscribe because your stuff is amazing anyway, so I'm going to subscribe regardless. But I would really like to paint one of these and give it away as a giveaway on my stream. Would that be okay? Because I want everything to be kind of on the up and up, and if that would be okay, please let me know. And I got a reply back from one of their customer support people, and they're like, yeah, I'm going to run this up the chain. We'll let you know soon. So hopefully we'll know pretty soon, and then I can get that printing large and then start airbrushing that and painting that. So that'll also be probably a Thursday stream kind of thing. It's just airbrushing those really large dragons. It's cool to even consider. Yeah, like 2 summers ago, last summer we did the Magaibeer dragon, and I reached out to Magaibeer and I'm like, hey, like I'm not selling these things because he also doesn't do commercial licenses very often. Even though you can find his dragons all over like Etsy and whatever, because people kind of rip them off, and make them out of metal and whatever. But he doesn't currently do licensing for his Magaibeer dragon. And so I reached out and I'm like, I'm not asking for a commercial license, but if you want me to pay for some kind of license so that I can give these away on my stream, let me know. And he looked at why we were raising money, and he's like, you don't need a commercial license. Like, I'm happy to support, what you're doing. And so I was super thrilled about that. So last summer we gave away a ton of his dragons, and we were really, really happy that he got involved. And then I sent Magaibeer like a ton of follow-up. And like, this is how much money we raised. This is the impact that it had. And thank you so much. And he appreciated the follow-up, I think. So I'm hoping this other group is going to help us out. If not, it's okay. Like, I've got other designs in mind, but I saw this one design and I'm like, I really like that design. I think it'll be really, really nice. And it's going to be enormous, and it's going to be a very involved print and a very involved paint job. But we'll see how it goes. So I'm almost out of paint here. I thought I was going to have way more than enough, but I'm just going to let this dry here a little bit, I think. Because I think the Trudon finished behind me. Oh no, the Trudon halted. No. What the heck? The Trudon stopped. It says it finished, but it did not finish. Ah, nuts. All that filament. All right, well, that was unfortunate and weird. Sorry, I know I'm off camera here for a second, but here's the neck of that dragon. And then we've got these little things that go inside it. So just like this neck, there's like a little peg that goes in here, and then the head goes on like that. So dare to compare. Here's the 100% model and the 220% model side by side. Oops, pull that down here so you can actually see it on the camera view here. So that's the 100% on top and the 220% underneath. It's going to be absolutely ridiculous and enormous. But the wings didn't finish printing, and the printer halted it, and I'm not sure why. So let's see if we can pull this out without snapping the wing. I'm basically going to have to measure it and then print just the top part of the wing. So, banana for scale. Here is the 100% wing. And here is the 220% wing. But it didn't finish. It finished like right before the top. So if you think about where that knuckle is right there, it was almost finished. And it stopped like right at the end. I'm not sure why. But yeah, there's the 100% and 220% wing. It's going to be like stupidly large. So I need to measure how far it did get and then slice just this part and have it print just that part. And I'll just, loop it on. Nobody will know. Once I get it sanded and polished and whatever, nobody will have any idea. But yeah, for some reason it just stopped printing. I'm not sure why. Go back and figure out what happened. All right, how are we doing here on the Nuggets? How did our Nuggets do? The Denver Nuggets did really well. We won the NBA this week, apparently. Yay, sports ball. So those are going to be good to go. So now what I want to do is I want to figure out like where can I put those gold nuggets around the dragon. And then I want to use some clear resin to kind of glue them on there. Oh, you know what? This resin's actually hardening on there a little bit. It's supposed to harden in there. I wonder if these lights have some UV property, because this stuff is actually thickening up a little bit when it shouldn't be. All right, I will keep it out of that light. So yeah, so I want to like dip these in the resin and just place them around the feet, specifically around like some of these darker shadow areas. You know, like put a little nugget in between his toes, like put a little nugget like right in here in between his toes kind of thing. And so I want to like get in here, dip just a little bit of resin on it, and then park it on there. And then I can hit that bottom part there with the UV flashlight. I don't know if you can't really see it glowing blue, but it glows blue here on my side. And it only takes a moment. And now that resin is cured and that nugget is not moving. That nugget's stuck on there pretty good now. So that's basically what I want to do, is just place some of these things down. And what I'm thinking I might do actually is with some of these darker nuggets is I'll keep those around where the shade is, since they're going to be kind of dark anyway. And we'll kind of park those down underneath the dragon here a little bit. And then I can just blast a whole bunch of these all at the same time with the UV. Cool. What's everybody else up to today? I'm just chilling a little bit because we got a work event happening later this evening, so I thought I would stream a little earlier than usual and work on this airbrush project a little bit. Ooh, that one had a lot more resin than I intended. Because I don't want the surface to get shiny from the resin. That's the other thing I want to be careful of. So if I can like stack them up a little bit or something, then I will do that. Thindel also gave the idea of curing it from a distance instead of being like right up on the thing, trying to cure it. So we will definitely give that a shot as we place some of the stuff around here. And then we'll hit it from a distance, gradually come in. It's neat because the resin glows blue. You can't really see it on the camera, but it's got this really cool like glowing blue effect as that resin cures up. And it only takes a moment for that resin to cure. Rebuilding a hot end for your SV5 from messing with the 3D chameleon and not working with it. Interesting. Okay. Is that the Sovel 05? Is that what the SV is? I haven't paid too much attention to the Sovel, but it seems to be kind of the new popular kid on the block as far as 3D printers and kind of the new model out that everybody's super excited about. I honestly haven't paid too much attention to other printer models coming out lately. My Voron is getting looked at yet again. Hopefully it'll get fixed up for real this time. It was having some problems with printing and stopping printing, and something with a thermocouple was going wrong, so I got a guy tearing it apart, and he's gonna spend some time looking at it and see if he can help me out. So the Sovels are really good. It's just an Ender 5 clone, so let's try to... Oh, cool, okay. I debated the Ender 5 Pro, to be honest, when I was looking for the larger format printer, something in a Core XY. But honestly, I'm still a little bit jaded about Creality and how they treat community and things like that, so I've made the choice not to support Creality. I know some people do, and that's fine. You know, whatever... The best printer you can get is the one that's going to work for you budget-wise and, you know, as far as like what you want to be doing with it. So I'm totally all right with other people buying Creality, but I made the decision not to support them anymore myself. But I'm not going to lie, I was pretty tempted by the Ender 5 Pro just because of the size format, because I was looking for that larger size, larger footprint sort of surface area to do like cosplay armor and helmets and things like that. But then I found the Trudon, which is a Voron derivative. So they based it on the Voron 2.4. But it's a little bit of a different machine. It needed a little bit of tuning, but it's been working pretty good other than stopping just now. I'm not sure what happened there. I'll have to go in and see if I can find some log data and see if I can find out why it just stopped in the middle of the print. Because there was no indication of like, oh, it hit the ceiling or anything like that. Because I had the slicer set properly that it can only do 330 millimeters, and going to 220 millimeter build height was within that range. So I'm not sure what happened. I can turn off the compressor there. That'll get rid of some of the background noise. Cool. So this is coming out pretty nice. Pretty happy with how the little gold nuggets are sort of populating in there so far. Pretty happy with the variation of, you know, just the different color stone and kind of the variation that it gives on, you know, what it looks like being down at his feet and stuff like that. It's kind of a neat effect. So I'm trying to be mindful of, you know, I want to get about half of the stones on this side. Well, we'll get maybe a third on here, a third around the front, and then like some around the other side. So I do have to be a little bit careful about how many I'm putting out here. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to mix up another batch of gold paint and paint another batch of rocks. So. You're actually building a 2.4 350, nice. So that's the size that that I went with, and I was pretty happy with it. Zombie Hedgehog actually helped me pick out the parts for it and did a fantastic job, picked out some really high quality parts, and I way overspent on the hardware on that thing. So if you can, there was somebody recently I saw on Twitter, they were doing like a Voron 300 kit for like $699. It was like 50% off because they're trying to clear out some inventory or something. So I know a lot of people were jumping on that and trying to buy up those kits, which would be great if you can find a kit for those prices. That's a fantastic price. I paid way more than that for mine, but I also went like way overboard on the hot end and all the little goodies and stuff. Some of the goodies and stuff I really miss having on the Trudon though, like the little clicky probe and stuff like that. Some of those are really, really nice to have for sure. If they had the Trudon out back when I was buying the Voron, I probably would have gone with the Trudon because it's mostly pre-assembled. It's like all the electronics and wiring are all pre-assembled. You literally just attach the belts to the Z-axis and you're good to go. And you put the top part of the chassis together, plug in a couple of wires, and you're ready to print. In retrospect, I should have put the little pebbles underneath the body. I should have put those in first. But you live and learn. You get $600 in all the parts. It's got LDO rails and superpowers. I got a Rapido. I got the Rapido as well. It's a fantastic hot end for sure. Basically a bigger focus. 400 by 400. Wow. That's a huge build area for sure. Need to get back to it all. Thanks for dropping by, Ash. Good to see you. If that was the case for me, it's going to be a long build. Yeah. So I really enjoyed the build process. Now, I didn't build 100% of my own Voron. That was part of why I'm having problems with it calibrating and whatever, because I didn't do most of the electronics work. I had someone else help with the electronics side of it because I didn't want to mess it up. I wanted to find somebody who knew how to do that stuff with Vorons to help me out with it. And I found a couple of people to help, and they did a pretty good job, but then it started just having these weird random kind of glitches and errors. So we had to kind of go back to the drawing board a tiny bit and get some things figured out there. And so hopefully they're going to get that sorted out. I mean, one way or another, I'm sure they're going to get it sorted out. So, all right, so we're getting there. I've used up about half of the rock that I've made so far. I think I'm not going to do all the way under the chest. I'm just going to do around the feet, I think, just so I don't run out of the gold rock here. So, let's see. Yeah, we're going to get back in. So all I'm doing is I'm dipping it in like a clear resin. So I'll show you the process I'm doing. I'm like barely dipping it in the resin, just enough to like barely touch a corner of it. And then I'm just kind of finding a spot where it's going to like sit still. And then I'll hit that with UV and it'll cure the resin around it and it'll kind of glue that down to the base. Now it's possible that when I ship this, it's going to all fall off, but I'm hoping I'll package it up in a way that that's not going to happen. The resin is gluing it. Yeah, exactly. Gosh, that's exactly what I'm doing here. I'm basically gluing it down with resin because it was a resin print. But I'm gluing it down with resin instead of actually using like super glue because something like Gloop isn't going to work on resin. Gloop doesn't really have a resin product. Otherwise, that would be really ideal to use. But because their stuff is more for like PTG and PLA filaments and not resin, I'm just using resin to continue to glue it on. But it's basically just gluing paint onto the paint. Because like the model was made with resin, but then painted. So there's a coat of paint on the resin and there's paint on the rock. So we're really just gluing the paint on the paint. The family member that this is for doesn't have children. So I'm not too worried about like kids trying to pick this up and playing with it. I'm pretty sure it's just going to sit on a shelf. But all the same, you know, being careful about it so they're not like moving it around too much and having all the rocks kind of fall off would be kind of nice. So yeah, so I'm just barely touching these things into the resin and then like finding a spot where they're just gonna like sit on there and rest, and then we'll come in with the UV flashlight and we'll cure that up. I'll move this little dish out of the way when I hit it with the flashlight so it doesn't cure in the dish. As I was explaining earlier, I tried that a little bit. I put a little bit in this dish and hit it with a flashlight and it started melting through the dish because it's exothermic. As we learned, exothermic means it gives off heat as it cures, and it started melting through the little plastic cup onto my finger, and I'm like, why is my hand getting really ouch? So I decided I would be a little more careful about it when we're actually working on the model here. So make sure that this cup gets moved out of the way when I come in with that flashlight. So I'm going to set down just a couple more stones here, and then we'll hit it with the flashlight, and then we'll kind of keep filling stuff in. I want to do a little bit of filling around the back on the dragon as well. Make it look like he's actually sitting on a pile of gold and not just around his hands and feet. And then we should be good to go at that point. I'm debating whether to actually resin in the wings before I ship it, or to leave them loose and let my family member assemble it when they get it. I'm trying to decide. I could probably just ask if they have a preference. So what's going on with everybody else? Who else is hanging out in chat? We got Chewy in chat. We had Ash. Ash had to take off. We had Thindle. Who else is hanging out with us today? Feel free to say hi in chat. If we get a handful of folks coming by, I can can do a giveaway. I've got plenty of those Flexi Factory Imperial Dragon models to give away. So we can certainly do a giveaway if enough people show up. I'd be happy to do that. What I'll probably do once this is done, like once I kind of get most of these pebbles down, is I'll probably put it in the wash and cure station and just let it cure for like several minutes, because it'll hit from all different angles as it kind of rotates around and things like that. I think that that'll be better for making sure that everything is nicely hardened on there. Oh, I need to get back to you. It's not that you're leaving. Oh, I'm sorry. Finishing your Discord message earlier. Okay. Oh yeah, the Discord stuff. So yeah, so I had Ash take a look at a couple of designs for some vinyl cutting. So Ash does vinyl cutting. Ash, feel free to drop your Twitch link and stuff for people to follow you. My hands are a little tied up at the moment, but feel free to drop links in there. I'm okay with people dropping links. Feel free to promote your channel. And tell us a little bit about like the type of vinyl cutting that you do and sizes and stuff like that. I know you're really busy with it and you're trying to get caught up with stuff, but you know, there might be some folks hanging out in chat that are looking for that kind of thing, or might watch the VOD later, although I doubt they'll watch it later, but you never know. Feel free to drop some links if you want folks to check out what you do. So I had an idea, because I've got a red car, like really deep red SUV. And so I had a couple of ideas of using negative space with vinyl stickers to do things like cut out just the white part of a Canadian flag and put that on the car so it looks like the Canadian flag, where all you have to put on the car is the white part of the flag, and just using the red part of the car to kind of be the maple leaf and the stripes. And then had another idea for a Deadpool, doing the same kind of thing, because it's a red car. I just need the black eyes and the white eyes, and then like maybe an outline of the head or something like that, and then using the dark red of my car to kind of be the rest of the Deadpool sort of face. So, and Ash had some neat ideas there, so we're going back and forth. We haven't really chatted on Discord lately though, so yeah, I'll definitely check out your Discord a little later, Ash, and see what you sent me. Yeah, so I'm just kind of randomly placing these around. There's no real like form or reason to it. I'm just kind of putting them kind of wherever it looks good, you know. We got a little stack of gold piling up here. Maybe this one's going to overlap his fingers a little bit because he's extra greedy on this side. Overlap that a little bit. I'll hit that with some UV. The dog's called, had to go get scritches. Well, that's totally okay. That's always appropriate. No, we must take care of the doggos. Hey, Royal Nummy, good to see you. Thanks for dropping by. Just doing a little, doing some airbrushing. We got the gold nuggets airbrushed, and so we're just kind of placing them down, and we're gonna harden those in with a little bit of resin here, and then we'll be all done with this model. We'll be ready to package it up and ship it up to Canada for my relative. I'm actually going to be up in Vancouver in August, but there's the birthday that this is for is happening before then, so I need to get this finished up and shipped sooner than later. So I'm going to drop a couple more of the nuggets around the back of the dragon here, and then we can kind of figure out like where we want to put the rest of them, because we budgeted the
the little nuggets here pretty well as far as like that one took a resin bath. All right, so we'll put that one back in there. And then we can stack other ones up on top of it maybe. Because again, I'm not trying to make these things shiny. I want the metallic from the paint to kind of be the shiny part of it, not the shiny resin. So we're just gonna place some of these things around, make it look like he's actually sitting on a batch of gold here. And maybe we've got one piece just kind of hanging up there on the top of the little mound. So what's going on today, Nomi? Feel free to play the Pokemon game while we wait. The Pokemon game basically runs every 15 minutes. So even if you don't play the game, or like if I'm not streaming, then you can't do much in my chat because it'll only, like, the Pokemon will only show up in my chat while I'm streaming. But there are other channels that are all running on the same 15-minute timer. And so as long as you're registered for the game, you can play it on any channel that plays the Pokemon game. I learned about it from Amish Ace, but 9.5 plays the game. I think Westray was trying to get it on her stream. I'm trying to think of who else has it. There's someone else I know that has the game. Can't remember who now. So yeah, there's a handful of streamers that have the game enabled in their chat, and whenever they're streaming, you can combine. Everybody's on the exact same 15-minute timer. So like if I was streaming at the same time as Amish Ace, for example, you could try to do the catch in multiple chats, but only one of them would actually work because the game is smart enough to realize it's still you in multiple chats trying to catch the same thing. So it'll only let you try to catch the Pokemon one time. But it's kind of fun to collect them, and then you can go through and like do little battles against other players and stuff like that. I tried a couple battles. Turns out I'm really, really, really bad at Pokemon, which I'm not even disappointed about, to be honest. I'm 50 or nearly 50. I don't need to be good at Pokemon. I'm good at a lot of other things. I don't have to be good at Pokemon. All right, let's cure these in a little bit. Move this dish out of the way so it doesn't get cured. What's up, Mighty Bean? Good to see you. So yeah, so I started printing this thing extra large just while I cure this stuff. So this is 100% scale. So this dragon is 100% scale. And this dragon is 220% scale. Sorry, this dragon. There we go. 220% scale versus that size. And I was printing a really large set of wings, and they just stopped on the Troodon. I'm not sure why. So I need to go see if I can find some logs and figure out how much did print so that I can go back and figure out how to reprint the parts that didn't finish. It's just like the little tip of the wing that I got to get in there and do. So there's a couple of nuggets left here, and then we'll be all good to go. So yeah, so I'm just dipping them in some clear colored resin and then just curing it in with a UV flashlight. And once this finishes, I'm going to put it in the wash and cure station. I'm going to let it sit here for a little bit, and the resin is not going to air harden at all, but the paint will. The paint will continue to cure. But what I want to do is I want to let this air dry a tiny bit, and then I'm going to put it in the wash and cure station for my resin printer, and that'll hit it with UV light from all different angles, and then that'll really cure these things down, because really all we're doing is we're putting resin between layers of paint, which isn't fantastic, but it's going to get the job done. We have 2 little nuggets left here, and then we're all finished, so I'm going to tuck them back in here, I think. And one last one here, and then we're all finished with the gold. There we go. All right, so we'll cure these in, and then we'll be all set. So what's going on with everybody else? Little Nuggies, that's right. Yeah, very fitting that the Denver Nuggets won the NBA, and today we're working on Nuggets. Apparently they've got a parade or something going on today, so yay sports ball or something. I never really was into basketball. I was more into hockey growing up in Canada. It was all about hockey back in the day. So yeah, we're just gonna kind of hit this all around with that UV light a little bit longer, and then we'll get it in on the wash and cure station. That's gonna really lock these things down. It doesn't show up on camera, but the resin actually glows a very vivid blue color with the flashlight here. But yeah, I like how that shade of gold, like how we've mixed up all the different kinds of gold here. I like how it kind of mixed itself up, and you know, it's all holding on there pretty nicely. So there we go. Smog is finished. Hooray! Go Red Wings. Well, I don't know about Red Wings, but you know. Ask about the airbrushing? Yeah, I mean, you're welcome to ask if you like. I've only just started learning airbrushing. But yeah, for more size comparisons, this is the... So there are horns that go on the dragon's head. There's a big horn that goes here, and there's a smaller horn that goes here. This is the large horn for the 100% scale. This is the large horn for the 220% scale. These are the wing tips. So on the back side of the wing here, you've got all these tips here that these little sort of hooks go into. And so these are the hooks for the 100% scale. These are the hooks for the 220% scale. So these wing hooks are almost as big as the like the biggest horn that goes in the head of the 100% scale dragon. So it's going to be a lot of fun airbrushing this one. I'm not going to lie, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, feel free to ask questions if you like. I'm not going to have all the answers when it comes to airbrushing, but I'll do my best. This is the smaller size horn. So the small horn kind of goes in that socket. So it's on a base, just makes it a lot easier to paint, and it goes in the bottom one here. And you can kind of choose how you want to rotate it around. Then the large one goes in here, and again, you can kind of choose, like, do you want to rotate it out this way? Do you want to rotate it in towards the neck? Because it's basically just a ball and socket kind of joint. So I got to hit it with the heat gun. I got a little more sanding that I want to do, but I got to get the heat gun in here because there's a lot of stringing in the mouth. And there's a lot of stringing between the little claws that go on the wings. So I got to get that cleaned up and get them sanded down a little bit. And then I'm going to have a lot of fun airbrushing that giant thing. So again, this is the 100% wing. And I'll show you part of the 220% wing as best I can. So this is the 220% wing. So here's the size comparison of those wings. I can't even get the whole thing in the camera. Pull it back here. Like it's ridiculous how big this thing's going to be. It's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to putting it all together. Yeah, good times. Good times. So yeah, so I'm just using up like all of the weirdest filament colors that I have. So the let me switch my mic back
over here. So the typical colors that I would have used, like I started printing the head in a peanut filament, and I started running out, and I'm like, oh no, now what do I do? So I reached for the next sort of light color, because again, I want to, like, I'm going to be airbrushing it, but the base color of filament can sometimes influence the paint job, depending, like, unless you put a lot of paint on there. So I went with a peach. It's kind of close. I mean, it looks a lot more similar on the camera than it does in person, but going from like a brown peanut color to like a bright peach, like, if you've ever seen those marshmallow peanuts that come out at Halloween, like that really weird sort of peach color, that's what color this filament is. It looks more brown on camera, but it's a very bright, vivid peach color. But yeah, that's the neck and the head. compared to the 100% scale of this neck and head. So there's the 100% and there's the 220%. So this thing's going to be really, really, really enormous. So I'm trying to decide on what color scheme. Like, what color scheme do I paint this? I've done a fire dragon. I've done an ice dragon. We've done smog. I'm going to need some ideas. I'm going to need folks to give me some ideas on what color scheme we paint this guy. Trying to think. I mean, I would love to be really good at painting like lava and see if we do like a lava dragon of some kind, like do a lot of blacks and do like streaks of, you know, bright red and orange and get kind of the neon glow kind of thing going. I think that could be kind of neat. I don't know how well that would actually work out, but it would look kind of neat. I also printed the dragon in 160% scale. So this is 100% and this is 160%, so a fair bit bigger. So that was 160%. And then we've got the 220%. So these are the different sizes that we're going for. And I'm actually licensed to sell this online. So I basically have a catalog entry now. If you do !catalog, you can get to the link of where I'm putting all this stuff online, as well as all the laser engraving. It's mostly laser engraving right now because I'm still working on the 3D printing portfolio stuff. But I've got the 100% scale in resin or in FDM. So this is also 100%. And this is Polymaker's Galaxy Red, which is really just a dark cinnamon color. If I'm honest, it's not red whatsoever. It's very much a cinnamon. So I did it in 100%. I did it in 160%, but I didn't have enough to do the cinnamon color in the 220%. So I'm using up just other light color filaments that I wasn't going to use for anything else other than just stuff I knew I was going to paint. So this one that's in brown and peach, absolutely it's going to get some paint. So no, it's not red at all. Yeah, not even close to red. Like, I don't know why they would have called it red. It's very much like, it's darker than cinnamon, because cinnamon is kind of like a reddish brown. This is like brown with like a hint of red. Yeah, they should have called it like sparkle brown. It's not brown like chocolate. It does look like a cinnamon-ish kind of brown, but it's brown. Let's be honest. It's brown. Anyway. Good times. Circus peanut, yeah. Yeah, the circus peanut. Yeah, that's the color I was thinking of. Yeah, for sure. A fairy dragon. That might be kind of neat. So something like a fairy dragon, I'm thinking like light blues, light greens, some purples and pinks, like go with more of, not so much a pastel, like we could still get into like neon colors, but do like really bright colors. That could be fun. Yeah, Chewy, it's the Galaxy Red. It's the Polymaker Galaxy Red. It's charcoal. It's not red at all. Like, this is barely red. This is like dark burgundy. Like, how are you going to call this red? Like, my cup is red. This is not red. You know? The label on my hint bottle is red. This is not red. Like, one of these things is not like the other. But this is also going to get a coat of paint. Probably, I'll probably hit it with some primer and do something with this. But yeah, I'm licensed to sell this online. But I'm probably going to do some kind of giveaway. So for July, what I'm thinking is I'm going to airbrush this big monster over here. I drop pieces all over the place. So I'm going to airbrush this thing, and this is going to be probably our big main like July giveaway, and it's stupidly enormous. It is so big, it literally makes me laugh every time I look at that printer and realize the enormity of what I'm getting into. This is going to take a lot of paint, like a lot of paint, but also the amount of detail that I could get into, because you can literally paint the individual scales on this thing. If you really wanted to get in there and be really careful about how you painted it, you could get in and come up with some really interesting textures. But this is going to be a lot of fun to paint. This one's going to be a brute for sure. It's going to be about a spool and a half of filament when it's done. And it's going to take some sanding. It's going to take some cleanup, especially on the wings. It was not meant to print this big. And so printers generally handle like small little overhangs okay, but when you start printing this big, these spiky overhangs on the neck sometimes don't work out very well. But the designer did a really good job of like putting this out at an angle in a way that all of these little overhangs, they all printed really, really nicely on the neck. On the head, not so much. There's a couple of things in here that I got to get in. I got to sand down and maybe do a little bit of filler. But the wings are definitely going to need some love. And then aside from that, yeah, just working on the helmets and stuff. So I'm going to do some weathering on the Dr. Doom mask. At some point, I'm going to hit it with a base coat. It's already gray, and the resolution from the bamboo came out pretty nice. There's a little bit of sanding that I need to do on here. But generally, the detail on this came out pretty nice. And so I'm going to sand it, prime it, sand it again, maybe prime it again. And then I'll be hitting it with like some metallic silver paint. And then I'm going to go in with like some rub and buff. And we'll get some really nice aging techniques on this. And then I hadn't planned it this way, but since Dr. Doom has a green hood, I can kind of play Dr. Doom for a minute. Not quite the same. I would need to like really darken out my eyes because you usually don't see Doom's eyeballs too much, but you know, we can get some pretty good cosplay going with Dr. Doom for sure. So, and this is also not my design either. So I mean, there's not a lot of talent in this Ash. It's literally just taking someone else's print and like setting it up right on the printer so that it prints well. That's just learning. It's honestly, there's not a lot of talent involved with this kind of stuff. The talent is going to be like the painting and stuff like that. That's how I see it anyway. The one that I'm most excited about is the Daredevil. So here's my Daredevil. This one's going to be really nice. So I'm going to do this one in red. So it's PTG, and I went through and I sanded it, but it's going to take a little bit of fill because there was like an extrusion inconsistency. So I printed it upright like this, and you can kind of see this stripe going all the way around the back here. And then there was another one down here that it's down in here. So I sanded everything down really well. Like I was in there with like really, really fine sandpaper and stuff like that. But I might make this one look a little bit battle damaged because there's like a little notch here in the nose that didn't extrude well. So once I get this one painted, I'm probably going to make this one look like battle damaged, like he got beat up on a little bit. But then I've got another one printing on the bamboo right now in a dark red, which, so this was, I think, 0.15 millimeter layers. That one is going to be 0.1 millimeter layers. So that one's taking a lot longer to print. I'm also printing it at half the speed. And then I've got a smaller one. So this one I did at 95% scale, and this one is too small to fit on my head. It would probably fit my younger kid, but it's not going to fit my head because it's too narrow. My head's a little too big for this one. But this was 95% scale. This gray one, I'm pretty sure was 100% scale or 97% scale. And it fits perfectly. I wish I could remember the scale I actually used because it came out perfect. But I wanted to do a yellow Daredevil helmet from She-Hulk. And so I'm going to go through, I'm going to sand this one down and I'm going to paint it. It also has kind of this fabric sort of pattern in it, but this one needs a lot of cleanup. So I might also do a battle damaged version of this one just because of you can't even see it now because the lights are so bright. Yeah, you can kind of see here, like there's this big scar over here on this side that's not supposed to be there. There's a big extra chunk of filament. Let's see if I can find an angle that shows it off here. It's like a fluorescent yellow, so it's really hard to see with the lights anyway, but you can kind of see this line right here. This whole chunk like just didn't extrude properly. This little bump isn't even supposed to be there at all. So I need to go in and I need to sand this down really well. So I might also do like another battle damaged one with this. But this was done on the bamboo at 100% speed, and the bamboo does a really good job at speed, but the speed sometimes comes at the price of quality. But it's going to give me practice airbrushing and stuff like that. And so I wanted to do a yellow base because, again, the base color when you're painting, I don't have to worry about putting like a really thick coat of yellow paint on this because it's already yellow. It's kind of bright lime green yellow. Like kind of it's kind of that fluorescent lime sort of color. But that way I don't have to go too bonkers with how much yellow paint I put on here. I could hit it with gray primer, like the gray filler primer, and that would help with sanding it down. But because it's got that fabric texture in there, it's just going to fill in that texture anyway. So the one that I'm printing now doesn't have the texture, and I'll be able to go in and just paint those parts black and whatever on the red helmet. So I've got like some really cool masking tape that's actually made of a vinyl. And so it's a vinyl masking tape. It's here somewhere that you can like move around as you're placing it down. That'll help mask off like the things that I don't want to paint certain colors. And then I can get in with the airbrush and I can get in those little nooks and crannies. So again, mostly for practice, just using up some filament that, you know, when else am I going to use fluorescent yellow green? But it was like random giveaway. You won some random spool of filament and we're going to send you like whatever we can't sell on our website. And so you just get these really random sorts of colors like peach and fluorescent lime green that I'm not literally going to use for anything else. So I have all the helmets. So I've got a lot of helmets, to be honest. I don't even have them all up on the website yet. But if you go to do3d.com, so do3d.com, they've got just tons of helmets on there. Tons of Star Wars, Iron Man. They've got like suits of armor. They've got Batman. They've just got tons of stuff over on their site, and that's where I bought all of these models. And then I've also got a commercial license, so I can actually sell them. And so I'm looking forward to like doing those kinds of things up. And then I've got like a version 1 of the Daredevil cowl over here, but it's way too big for me. But I've got like Mandalorian helmets. I got like the Bo-Katan Kryze from the Mandalorian season 3. So I'm doing that one up for GBav, who comes and hangs out on the stream. He does a lot of gaming online. But I've got like the Stormtrooper First Order. I've got the Beskar Trooper helmet from Mando season 3. I've got Moff Gideon helmet from Mando season 3. I've got the Armorer with the extra spikes and stuff on the top of the helmet. Like I've got a lot of helmets, and so I'm gradually going to get them up on the website. And then, so if you go to cool3dthings.com or just do !catalog, you'll see a lot of that stuff. So, hey, Britt, good to see you. Thanks for dropping in. So yeah, it's Ian. It's also Britt. So yeah, we did some airbrushing. So we got, I'll head back over to this screen here and show everybody what we did. So we basically airbrushed some really coarse sand. So I got like this 2-pound bag of really coarse sand, and we basically airbrushed them as little gold nuggets, and we put them all around the base of the dragon with UV resin, and we cured it with just a little flashlight, and it worked out great. So I'm just kind of letting the paint, but it came out pretty nice. I'm pretty happy with how that came out. Let me switch microphones. I can get a little bit closer and show you what I did. So we airbrushed all these nuggets, slightly different shade of gold than what the base was, just so they stand out a little bit. And then we just dipped them all in a little bit of resin, popped them on here, and then hit it with some UV. And so I wanted to dip just the underside of the nugget on there. Like I can see a little bit of shiny like underneath the nuggets under here, and that kind of irritates me a tiny bit, because I didn't want the shiny, like I didn't want it to look like there's water around the gold, but you know, it is what it is. I wanted to just dip it in the resin, stick it on here and cure it so that they would hold on, that they weren't going to like fall off while I ship the thing. But it's really just curing the paint on the paint, because there's paint on this resin and there's paint on the sand. So we're really just gluing the paint together. But having the different color sand gravel gave really interesting effects on, you know, not having to go in with all these different unique shades of paint, because this stuff is all pretty random color. There's quartz and dark colored rocks and light colored rocks, and there's like a pink quartz rock in there. And so we just hit all that with just a random mix of yellow, gold, and copper paint, and airbrushed that from a distance. So we had everything kind of sit down on a board here, and I just kind of airbrushed it all from a distance and rolled them around and got it coated kind of on all sides.
And then we started gluing them down, and it worked out great. So yeah, so that was kind of fun. Because I've got a work event later tonight. That's why I didn't stream later tonight. But I do need to rinse out my airbrush before that paint dries in there. So I'm gonna start on that process here while we go. So let me switch back over to here. Switch back over to here. There we go. So yeah, so that was our afternoon project. It was just to get the nuggets on there. So that one was a commission for a family member for a birthday that's coming up. So I needed to get that finished because I got to ship it like this week, kind of thing. Dab some little spots of glue and hit it with some sparkly powder. That's a great idea, actually. I mean, I could go in with, because I do have like a couple of drops left of the paint that we mixed up. I could go in and maybe hit the resin and just coat the resin with some of that color. I could do that a little bit. Hit it with a matte clear coat. The shine might go away. That's a great idea too, Mighty Bean. I did just pick up some matte coat, some matte clear coat. I picked up some semi-gloss and some matte. So with that clear coat, for those of you that do this stuff like semi-professionally, and anybody that does it, better than me, I consider professional, because I'm total amateur at this. So everybody's better than me in my mind. Could I spray that matte finish in like one of these little cups and then like paint it on with a paintbrush instead, or do I need to spray? Because I don't want to like overspray the whole thing. Can I spray it into a cup and then like paint it on with a paintbrush? Would that work, or does it dry pretty quickly when it comes out of the aerosol can? Yeah? Okay. Cool. So I'll try that then. Absolutely. Okay, sweet. Yeah, I'll do that. This is why I love this community. Everybody's got cool ideas and helping each other out. It's the best part. Like Ash is like, hey, can I ask you about airbrushing? I'm like, I don't know anything about airbrushing. I've only been doing this since like March. So you run into it drying, so work quick. Yeah. Like I would spray it, like I would literally like spray it in the cup, put the can down, grab a paintbrush and like dab it on. Like I'm not going to let it sit in there for minutes in between or anything like that. So it should work. You can also get clear matte Mod Podge. Oh, interesting. It does look good. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I was really happy with the paint job. The paint job on here was a lot of fun. So I started everything in kind of this bland beige color, and then I went through and I hit everything with kind of this tan sort of. So I mixed up kind of a tan gold, and I sprayed the whole dragon with that, so that when I went in with the red, I could get the really nice gradient, especially on the tail and stuff like that, to gradient from the tan into the red. And then I let the red cure for quite a while, and then I went back in and I just did the spine. It looks a lot darker on the camera. It's a lot more faded. Like you can see more of the fade detail between the red and the black, and between the black and the tan in person. So I do need to get some pictures of this up on Instagram. So yeah, I'll get those up probably the next day or so, because I do need to box this thing up and ship it this week to get up to Canada. But the wings came out really nice. Lots of cool gradient and stuff on the wings. It was a lot of fun airbrushing this and just learning about airbrushing while I'm going. It's like, okay, next time I'm going to do the underside of the wing a little bit differently. Like it came out pretty nice, but there are things I would do differently. Like something about the resin didn't cure properly, and so the paint down here at the bottom is sticky. And it's been dry for over a month, and it's still sticky. So there's something about how the resin, like I put a little hole in here for the resin to drain out, and so I think the resin got on here and it interacted with the paint. I don't know. Actually, I'm going to hit it with a little UV light and see if the stickiness will go away. Maybe that's all it is. Maybe it's just some uncured resin hanging out there. Let's see if that'll work. But I was also debating, should I assemble the thing and then ship it, or do I ship it disassembled and let my family member figure out how it goes together and figure out how to glue it? And it's still a little bit tacky, even after hitting it with some UV for a few seconds, so I'm not sure. We'll figure it out. Do I have... Oh, I got stickies, yes. So the bottom, just the bottom of the wing is still sticky, and I'm not sure why. It'll need to be wiped off. Oh, okay.
100% right with the resin and the paint. So there's a little bit of resin in there. The resin's mixing with the paint. It's keeping it sticky. Okay. So that did happen, and a bunch of the paint came off. You can kind of see a tiny little bit at the bottom of the wing there. Some of the paint did come off, and I went back in and I repainted it, but it's still a tiny bit sticky. Make a small video showing them how. Yeah. The other thing I could do is just put some resin in there, put it together, and just not put in the little wingtips. Let them figure out how to put the wingtips in. But I'm also hoping that crazy glue is going to be enough for them to put the wingtips on. I kind of want to resin those on for them, but cure the crap out of it. Yeah. I'll put it back through the wash and cure thing, because I want to put the whole base, now that we've got those nuggets on there and I kind of hit it with the UV flashlight. I want to put this whole thing in the cure station so it'll like spin around for like 10 minutes and get like all the angles, because there's mirrors and stuff in there to kind of hit it from all the different angles. So I want to make sure that those nuggets are cured on there as best as they can so they don't fall off while I ship it. Like 3 cycles? Okay. Cool. It will need to be wiped off though. Okay. I wish someone would make a good video about packing these things safely. We need 3D print packing hacks. Yeah. I mean, I've got lots of foam and like bubble wrap, because I've been saving all of my Amazon like bubble wrap. But I've got like just the really thin foam that you sometimes get on a cover of a monitor or a TV. So it's kind of like a foamy paper. It's like fairly thin. And then I've got a thicker version of that. And then I've got just regular bubble wrap with like the small little bubbles. I've got bubble wrap with big bubbles. And then I've got like the big like Amazon, strips of like the big bubbles. I'm going to wrap it in a little bit of all of that to get up to Canada. If I lived a little bit closer to the border, I would just drive it up, to be honest. I'm going to be up in Vancouver, but my family member doesn't live in Vancouver anymore. They moved out to Alberta. Otherwise, I would just, because I'm going out to Vancouver in August, and they would have been like half an hour outside of Vancouver. So that doesn't work anymore. So I'm not gonna drive like 10 or 12 hours both ways to drive it to Alberta. As fun as that would be as a road trip. I love a road trip, but not worth it for that. All right. So I'm going to finish cleaning up my airbrush, but that was pretty much all I wanted to accomplish today. And then I don't think Britt saw the ridiculous. So Britt, this dragon was 100% scale. I went a little bit bigger and I printed it at 160% scale in FDM. And then I thought, well, I got this nice big 350 millimeter monster now, so let's go 220%. So I'm in the process now of printing this thing at 220% and then figure out what kind of color scheme do I want to do this one. And I think chat kind of helped me pick. I think we're going to go with like a fairy kind of theme. So we're going to do like a lot of really light, bright kind of colors. We'll do like, maybe we'll hit everything with kind of a tan, and then we'll go back in with like neon blues and greens and pinks and purples and stuff like that. And we'll do like a fairy style, but fairy style with a really angry face. I don't know how well that's going to pull off. It would be interesting to see though. Yeah, I was just asking Chaz, like, what color do I make? Because I've already made a fire dragon. I've made an ice dragon. I thought about doing a lava one, but I'm not very good at like doing lava. But I love the idea of like figuring out how to airbrush lava colors. I've been watching all kinds of folks on Twitch doing miniatures and stuff like that, like Mohawk miniatures and Brush for Hire and folks like that, like just amazing people that know way more about paint and paint process and stuff like that. I'm just not confident in doing lava to do something that I want to give away. But I'm thinking this might be our July giveaway. I'm also talking to another designer. So Elegoo earlier today, let me go over to this screen, see if I can find a browser window that's going to work for me here. That's not going to dox myself. This is the one that comes up. It's just chat. Yeah, it's just chat. Okay, but we at least got the right window here. So there's this tweet from Elegoo they're like, hey, we found this really cool dragon model. Let me shrink this up so it'll actually fit on the screen for everybody. And it's from a group called Loot Studios. And I was looking at this going, I want that model. I want that model so bad, and I want to paint that model. Like, I badly want that model. And so I went over to Loot Studios, and they won't let me subscribe because they say that my iandouglas.llc email address is not a valid email address, and it is. But for some reason, they say it's not. But they don't do commercial licenses, but you can go in and you can like back order and back pay like other kits and whatever. So they've got a handful of dragon models that I've reached out to them saying like, hey, I do giveaways. Like, can I get written permission? If I buy the model, can I get written permission to give it away? Like, I'm not selling it. I'm not going to put it up on my website, cool3dthings.com. I'll pull it up just while I yammer at you for a minute here. Oh, go away, big giant dismiss thing. But I'm going to be putting like all the laser engraving stuff. That whole catalog is on there. I'm gradually putting the 3D print stuff on there. And so I sent them a link to my website, and I'm like, I'm not selling it. Like, I'm not planning on selling it. I don't distribute the digital models, anything like that. But I do want to print it, paint it, and give it away as part of a July giveaway. So I picked a couple of their models. I'm like, I'm happy to pay for this. I also want to subscribe to their monthly thing anyway. But they've got some amazing models on their site. Like, some of their models are absolutely incredible. If you go over to wrong window, studios.com. Aside from their site looking very janky when you log in, let me zoom out here. Like, this is one of their current models now. Is they've got this really cool like undead dragon. It's like, okay, well, that's a little creepier than I would normally get, but they've got some amazing models on their site. And it's like $15 a month, and you get like 50 or 60 models every single month. And they've got sci-fi theme, and they've got fantasy theme, and they've got just tons and tons of stuff on there. And they got props and cosplay and masks and things like that. And so one of the ones that they had was, I don't know if it's this pack or if it was that previous month pack that I was trying to buy. I think it was the previous one. They had a dragon skull that hangs on the wall. And I'm like, that would be a perfect FDM print to then also go back and paint. No, it's not that bundle. So it was last month's bundle, apparently. So if we look at the old bundle, I think fantasy. I think it was this one. In this bundle either. Anyway, one of their bundles, they've got this really cool dragon head on a plaque, kind of like you're a dragon hunter kind of thing, and it would be a thing that you like hang up on your wall. But I was thinking, I've got that big giant printer, like it would be great to make a really big version of that and paint that and give that away. So there was that. There was the one from Twitter that we saw. It's like I would happily print and paint that and make that our July giveaway. So yeah, they had some really, really neat stuff on their site. So, you don't think you need permission? I mean, I just want everything on the up and up. Like, I want their written permission. Like last summer when we did the monthly giveaways, I actually contacted MacGybeer about giving away his articulated dragon. I'm like, I understand you don't give out commercial licenses, or that you're very picky about who commercially prints these things and sells them. I'm like, I just want to give these away. And I explained, all the fundraisers that I do. And he's like, I'm happy to be involved. Give away as many as you want. And I followed up with him over like several things, and I was giving him all kinds of pictures and stuff. And he's like, your print quality is great. He goes, I love what I'm seeing on your site, and that you're giving all your, the money that you make as a streamer, you give all that back into the fundraiser. He's like, give away as many as you want. And then I followed up with him afterwards. I'm like, dude, like you helped me raise like $5,000 for that group because we were giving away these dragons like all the time. He's like, that's amazing. So he was really proud of that. And so I want to work with the designer. I want to make sure I have their written permission to do this. Now, the Imperial Dragon from Flexi Factory that I give away, I have the commercial license for this. And so I can give away as many of these as I want. So we'll give away this one today. This is a Zero Twilight Sparkle filament. It's basically like blue and purple and charcoal, and it's got a really deep gold fleck in there that you can see on the side of the face. Filament Stories rather highlighted this filament on her YouTube channel, I don't know, maybe a month ago. And I'm like, I need to get that filament. And it's easily in my top 10 favorite filaments. It's really, really nice. So we'll give this away. I need to reboot my chatbot though, so give me a minute. Hey RC, good to see you. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I was kind of on the up and up with everybody, that I wasn't going to like cause any hard feelings if I, give these things away. So let me go reboot my bot, and then you should be able to do ! Giveaway. So if you want to try ! Giveaway, we'll give away that articulated dragon. $15 a month is really that expensive for what you get. I mean, for 60 models every month, that's a pretty good price. And then you also get a deep discount on any of their previous packages, which then they turn around and sell for like 80 or 90 bucks. They're more like 30 bucks or 40 bucks if you are a subscriber. So let's see if people are actually showing up in the giveaway table here. Let me shut off the browser here so I don't dox all of you. The giveaway. Yep. So folks are showing up. So Chewy's in the giveaway. So feel free to ! Giveaway. And we'll give away a dragon. And Riker wants to come say hi to everybody. Get up here. What's up, Pepper? What's going on? So yeah, so I've reached out to that group saying like, can I buy these models and print it and give it away? I just want to make sure that I've got written permission from them, even if I don't need to. I still want to. And if not, then we'll give away this enormous like monster version of the Grey Dragon. This thing's like ridiculously huge. Like, it'll be easier to show you the scale of this back here on this camera. So this is the 100% scale wing versus the 220% scale wing. So RC Maniac, yours is like 120% scale. So yours was like somewhere in here, and this is like that much bigger. Like, this thing could literally fly away, I think, if it was motorized. Ooh, that would be an interesting project too. Motorize this thing so the wings actually flapped. That would be fun. But for some reason, the Trudon stopped printing just that last little bit, so it's missing probably a ½ inch or an inch on the top here. So I need to figure out exactly where it stopped and then just slice that part and gloop it on there and sand it and so on. Not sure why it stopped. The Raspberry Pi that's hooked up to it for Clipper stopped responding last night. It still printed. I was worried it was going to stop the print. But it did stop right at the top. I think it just hit the maximum height on the thing. It was supposed to go to 330 millimeters, but I don't think it got that far. And I can't even see on the little tiny display, I can't even see where the Z-axis got to. So anyway. Yeah, the old packs are more, but if you subscribe, then they give you a discount on the old packs and stuff like that too. But I mean, they're a business, they're trying to make money. So I get it. I'm happy to support good designers. I'm happy to support them for sure. What else did I miss in chat? I know I missed a lot. Not paying attention there for several moments. If I missed anything else important, feel free to drop it back in chat. But yeah, we got lots of helmets on the go. We've got a Daredevil cowl going on the bamboo right now. It's going to come out pretty nice. I've got 2 more versions over here. One of them I'm going to sand down and make kind of battle damaged. We got the Dr. Doom, which I'm going to do with like a metallic and then do some rub and buff and do some weathering on Dr. Doom here. And then once this dragon is done printing, I'm going to get started on a Mandalorian helmet and a Bo-Katan Kryze helmet from Mando Season 3 for Gbav, who comes and hangs out in chat. I promised him he would get the first helmets that are like not for me. he would get the first helmets off the printer once I got a big format printer going. So I sent him a couple just as a sample, just to try on. And the Mandalorian helmet it fit okay over the ears, but it wasn't long enough this way on his head, so I need to make it a little bit longer. And the Bo-Katan Kryze one fit his girlfriend just fine. But it had a problem with the print, so I need to reprint hers, and I need to resize his a little bit. And then I'm going to put visors in. I'm going to paint them the whole bit and get those out to him in San Diego. So good times, good times. You were looking at the sub cost. Yeah, the sub cost for their site is like $15 a month for like 50 or 60 models. But if you factor in, like, I could subscribe for 1 month, get this month's models, and buy last month's models for cheaper than like going and just buying them outright. It's a pretty good deal. Like for the $25 or whatever for last month's bundle, $15 for this month's bundle, and you get like 80 or 90 or maybe close to 100 different models, and some of those are like cosplay items with like full masks and stuff. Like, to me, that would be worth it. I mean, the designs are pretty nice. I mean, some of them I'll never use. I'll be honest. I'll never print some of them, but for the ones that I like and that I want to print, it's a pretty good price. I mean, for me, it's worth the price. Like I said, I like to support designers, and they're obviously putting a lot of time and effort into these things. So, but yeah, other than that, for the laser engraver, we got some bookmarks to do. We've got some 6" by 6" things to do some other signs. We've got some 4" by 8" things to play around with for signs, and we got these little mirrors. I want to try and like laser engrave onto these mirrors, but the mirrors are plastic. I thought they were going to be glass, but they're plastic. So I'm not sure how it's going to work. I'm not sure how well it's going to sort of hold up. These might just end up being decoration on the wall upstairs if I can't laser engrave it. I was hoping like these would make pretty cool coasters if I can engrave something on it, but I thought they were going to be glass. But I should have known for the price I was paying for them that they were not going to be like super high quality. But they've got a sticker on top just to keep it sort of protected, and then there's like a big adhesive thing on the back. So I'm not sure how lasering into that is going to work. I don't know. We'll have to see. So one idea that I've done in the past to engrave on clear acrylic is to coat it with black tempera paint, laser etch into that, and then wash the paint off. So I might try a couple of different ideas around that. Yeah, we'll see. And then, I might do like a limited batch of, mirror coasters. Alrighty. Did I miss something? Oh, just chatting about DMing one another. Oh, they dropped it down to $15 a month. I gotcha. Yeah. Cool. Well, let's. We only got 5 people in the giveaway. Nobody else wants a dragon? We got Chewy, Brit, Mighty Bean, Outcasted Wanderer. Good to see you as well. Got RC in there. Anybody else wants a crack at a articulated dragon in that Twilight filament? Exclamation point giveaway. We're going to draw here in like 90 seconds. They released a dragon leaf caterpillar for Murph. That'd be kind of cool. Hey, Kid Skyfire. Good to see you as well. All right, I need to hydrate. My throat's kind of raw today, so. Thanks, RC, for sharing those links. I'm totally all right with people sharing links, as long as it's not like spammy kind of stuff. Feel free to drop links and help each other find things online. Totally cool with that. All right, we got Royal Nomi in there. Who else is going to get in on that giveaway? I'll give you like 60 more seconds. Or less. Let's do chat window here. Where'd my chat window go? Is that my chat window? There's my chat window. Okay. So we can do a giveaway. That'll tell me how many entries we got. We should have 6 entries, I think. Or so you can spam links. No, please don't. All right, we're at 6 entries. Don't worry about the monthly things. We're not doing the monthly giveaway thing. Spam.com. So, funny story. Back when I was online dating, I actually was dating a lady who worked at Hormel in Southern California. She didn't work on the spam product, but she was like a marketing executive. And I'm like, oh great, I'm gonna get teased all the time. You know, I'm dating somebody who makes spam, but didn't work out. But so funny story. I get asked this quite a bit. It's a funny story. One of the random dating websites. This is back in like 2002, 2003, when it's creepy to meet people online. I registered on some site and I'm like, I want to use Ian Douglas as a username. And they're like, great. We put a random 3-digit number on the end of everybody's username. So I became Ian Douglas 736. And that was the site I met my wife. Actually, no, that wasn't the site I met my wife, but I kept using that username everywhere. And my wife actually found me on Match.com. So we met for coffee and we've been together ever since. And it'll actually be 20 years next month that we've been together. We've been married it'll be 18 in September, but we've been together 20 years this summer. So cue up that joke about how long is a prison sentence for murder. I'd have been out by now. Anyway. But yeah, we've been together 20 years. It's hard to believe. I mean, that's where I got all the gray hair, honestly. We joke about it, but it's true that the day we got married, I started getting like gray hair, like right here in the front. And within a couple of years, like I was completely gray. It's all her fault. My aunt is one of the Goya children. Sweet. All the Goya products. Yeah. It's like the beans and stuff like that. That's pretty cool. All right. Married men live longer. I mean, if they behave themselves, maybe. All right, well, let's do a giveaway. So giveaway daily. We're gonna call this a Twilight Dragon. I'm gonna try this for the first time. This should post the recipient in our Discord community as well. So if you're on the community, you should see that show up in the giveaway channel over there. So we'll do a little drum roll here. That recipient is going to be Outcasted Wanderer. Congratulations if you're still here. Let me go log in and make sure that actually posted over there. If we go over to giveaway info, hey, how about that? Outcaster Warrior has been chosen to receive a Twilight Dragon. You had a 1 in 6 chance. Congratulations. You're still here. Well, sweet. Send me a message. I've actually got a giveaway form. Let me find that. I'll find it later. Send me a Twitch message, and then I will send you a link for a form that you'll fill out, and just let me know what you want, and we'll go from there. Sweet. All right. Well, let's see who else is online this time of day. I don't normally stream this time of day, so I have no idea like who's streaming or what's going on. But I'm gonna get going because I want to like prep dinner a little bit, and then I got the work event thing going on. So Moko Mate is still going. Mohawk Miniatures on. Cam the Goblin is on. Artology is on. There's a handful of folks doing various craftings and printings. Pix is streaming Lego. Lego Magical Unicorn 3-in-1. Did they just start streaming? Because I see like an ad page or something. I don't think they've gone live, but I don't know. I mean, they are there, I guess. Oh, it's a cross-stitch thing? All right, we'll go right over to Pix. I don't think I've ever raided over to Pix. So we'll go right over there. Let me go back to my chat window and we'll set up that raid. But before we go, help me out with this. I like to grab a random dad joke. Why is it a bad idea to eat a clock? It's so time consuming. So grab that as a raid message for me, please, and we'll drop that in Pix's channel when we get over there. And we'll catch everybody over in Pix's channel for a little bit. I'm going to hang out for a couple of minutes, and then, like I said, I need to go take care of some dinner and stuff like that. So thanks for hanging out today. Thanks for those that helped out with the airbrushing and the resin stuff. I'm going to go finish curing that stuff up, and I'll see if I can fix the bottom of that wing. So thank you for the tips on that. This is why I love this community. This is great. Y'all drop in. You've all got tips and great ideas and stuff like that. So thank you. I'm happy to give back. But I also love when you all drop by and help me out too. I love learning in public. Share your knowledge with someone else. I think it's important that we do that. We get better as a society when we share what we know. We all win. We'll catch you over on Pix's stream, and we'll see you on not Sunday because it's Father's Day, so I'm not going to be streaming on Sunday. I might stream Saturday night. We'll see. We'll see what we got going on. I might see if this dragon will finish up by Saturday, and we'll do a little more maker type of stream or something instead. So we'll catch you sometime at some point over the weekend. Have a great afternoon, everyone, or evening, or nighttime, or morning, wherever you are, and we'll catch you next time.